7 is the unpacking of the standards into precise content and skill statements. So this is someone who's going to really like the granular work. It's the A, bullet, bullet, bullet. A1, A2, A3, A4. Precise verbs, right? Disciplined work. So again, the strategy of how you're going to go about this, I don't know. Per table, you're going to do it different ways. Maybe the whole table does the unpacking first, and then you go back and do the essential questions. That could happen, but both steps have to happen. How are we doing? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's the expectation. So going into this, let's talk. Big ideas are the why. They are statements. Essential questions are the cues to the students on what they should think about to get to the why. There is a direct big picture alignment there. Now, I'm calling them big ideas. They could be enduring understandings. Okay, and anyone who's a purist in the room just had a heart attack, and I get that. But for you and I'm going to send you to a resource where they're called enduring understandings, and they are relational statements as to why we are forcing children to actually learn this. And the essential questions are a question that a child could answer and actually show you evidence that they are metacognitively aware of that why. What does this mean? Well, I'm going to go this way, and we're going to just show you a design. I'm going to go through it a couple of times just so we can play with it. Back in the day, I used to have a little holder, right, with a little slide that used to protect my hand. Right, all right, you're with me. If I had an essential question, 2 to 5 essential questions per unit, per 6-week unit, 2 to 5. You with me on this? They take time to answer. You're going into these and developing them. If you list up 5 or 6 essential questions, that better be a 13-week unit. How are we doing? Does that make sense? And just like you saw with the unit design, literacy only gets 1 or 2 of the slots. You need to leave some room for the theme or the connection to other ideas. How we do? So I can't have 5 literacy questions. There's no room. So here's my essential question. Underneath that essential question, I have supporting questions. You can call these topical questions. You can call these discipline-specific essential questions. I don't know, call it whatever you want. But the point is, it's a question that's a fetch question. If I can go through your materials and find the answer to the question, it's a supporting question. It's connected to the content and skills. It's precise. There's a correct answer. And a child needs to answer these supporting questions in order to have enough information and range in order to tackle even hoping to answer that essential question. Because it takes time to develop the thoughts behind that essential question. How are we doing? Does that make sense? And underneath each supporting question, I have lesson plans or activities that I put together to give the content and skills, the granular information for the child to be equipped and prepared to substantiate an answer to an essential question. The entire unit can fall into this structure. If I have 2 to 5 of these, you know all my supporting questions that actually align to the content and skills, and every lesson plan or activity I do fits under at least one of the essential questions. If there's any lesson plan or activity or page that doesn't fit into the structure, you know where you need to challenge, which is why the use of essential questions helps teachers cut. It's the exact challenge to the mentality, I must cover my curriculum. I must cover everything because I might leave a catastrophic gap, right? Isn't that the feeling? But if I have essential questions that are well thought out and intentional, and every lesson plan actually develops the thinking of that, then anything outside of that, it's okay to cut. I have a structure that is sound. Will the child learn everything? No. But what they learn will be connected and thoughtful and in a responsible progression that a group of faculty have selected deliberately. That's the answer to, seriously, how do I cover it all? Well, you gotta cut with confidence, and this is how you do it. Okay, so these essential questions mean, there's another word for some of these. There are overarching essential questions. And we talk about that because if this is the level where content and skills come in, that means it's not reflected in my essential question, which means an essential question could be returned to again and again, right? Something like, what are letters and how do I use them? Interesting. I could keep coming back. What are symbols and how do we use them? What is media, right? Why is communication important to me? Okay? I am not saying anything about prepositions or conventions. I'm not saying anything about the narrative per se. I'm up here in this idea of communication, the why we do it. My supporting questions are where the words like narrative, argument, or things like that might come out, or where things like, the idea of sentence structure, right? Because I need to learn those things in order to effectively communicate. That's not to say supporting questions are not essential or important. They are. The entire structure is important. So try not to let the word essential throw you off and say, oh, I need to put everything in there in the question. Here's another one. Don't give the answer to the essential question in the question. Teachers like to student-proof questions. We like to make sure that they're going to answer it the way we want them to. Explain why punctuation is important to communication. All right, I'm sorry, but you just said that punctuation was important to communication in your question. So the child cannot miss. Everything they're going to say now has to be the canned explanation as to why you think punctuation is important to communication. How are we doing? Does that make sense? That's called padding the question with the answer you want. Just because you don't have the answer and the details from the content and skills in the question, don't worry. Give a question that's worthy. Give a question that's thoughtful, a question that's challenging. And then they have to come up with the word punctuation in their answer. They have to use the content and skills from your unit in their answer. And that's how we go. Now, I'm talking to K through 6, right? So you're sitting here going, seriously? The students, how are we going to work through this? It's okay to have to teach the kids how to answer essential questions. You will answer it several times yourself. You're going to walk through the answers with them. You're getting the brain to practice that process. We're going to talk about the brain science behind it in a little bit.